Good to see you all again for the last time.
The finals.
Yes. And we welcome Janet with us as well this week.
Thank you.
Lovely, lovely to have you back to join in with our conversation of the final episode of the Sewing Bee 2020.
Building it up a bit.
I suddenly thought I was going to say 2006, and I don't know why. It's the heat weather. Well, the final. So there we are, Nicole, Matt, and Claire. We're all ready for it. Let's just have a quick discussion, first of all, on the final, whether you thought it was exciting or a bit of a damp squib, just in general, regardless of talking about who won. How did you feel about it?
I thought it was quite nail-biting, actually, and I think I got the whole vibe of excitement that they must have been feeling mixed with the panic. It was like reliving it all over again. Yeah, I got that excitement from it. Did anybody else think it was a damp squib?
No, I think that it was edited a couple of weeks ago. There was one where the editing and the music just didn't really do much for it, but they seem to be back on form again, and the tension was there, and the dramatic music and everything, and it kind of draws you in when it's more like that as well.
Yeah, and the first challenge kicked it all off with all of the kind of impossible. I looked at that and was like, I'm glad I'm not making one of those. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I think it got exciting because obviously one winning one and one winning the other. So therefore it was literally down to the final part. I just don't know whether I got a sense in that first challenge, because it was so hard, whether they were all concentrating, whether there wasn't much else to show editing wise. So it felt a bit blur.
Oh.
I think it was, the challenge was not so much about sewing ability in that particular challenge, but more how you approached a mathematical or a problem. It was a problem solving thing rather than a sewing challenge.
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting how all three challenges were suited to the individual strengths of each one of them. You know, they each suited one particular one. And that can't have been predetermined because they didn't know who was going to be in the final. But it was so clearly a good thing for Claire to do the mathematical one because of her approach and the kind of intellect that she had. It was clear that Matt was just absolutely drowning in confusion, and Nicole just shimmied her way through it in a bodgy sort of way, really.
Using smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And the carnival one was really good for Nicole.
Yeah.
And then the gala dress at the end was,
oh my god,
just
that was
so Matt, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was really interesting.
Let's go into it then. So the first challenge, our final pattern challenge, the theme was celebration, and they went into a traditional child's kilt, didn't they? So Ting, what was the judges looking for on this?
Well, I mean, it's like Janet said, there wasn't a lot of sewing to do there. It was all to do with getting it sorted. And, you know, they wanted the frayed edge with the buckle, and they needed accuracy with the repeats. Other than that, they didn't have to cut out, well, they didn't have a pattern. They just had instructions on how to kind of put the pleats in, and that was it. So, it was weird because I was thinking, is there going to be like hundreds of pieces and everything? And of course it wasn't. It also made me realise that all of those kilts we made for that production, however many years ago that was, we didn't worry about the pattern repeat in those ones.
No, we didn't, did we?
I had no idea that the number of pleats that you had in were dependent on the size of the pattern repeat.
No, not at all. I just thought you pleated it.
Yeah,
it blew my mind to find that out.
I thought it was impressive seeing Claire working that out and putting it in and adjusting by millimeters. I was just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That was when they said, we've provided them with the formula. Oh, thank you, Patrick, thank you, because I wouldn't have been able to do it otherwise.
Because they had to do it at the waist, and then they had to take it again into the hip, didn't they? So what? Well, let's go through them. So Claire, let's go for Claire's first. She had the yellowy sort of bumblebee fabric. So she coped quite well, really, didn't she? With all her, how many was it? Pleats? 27 pleats.
27, yeah.
It blew my mind when they were going, actually, you want a smaller pattern, because the smaller pattern needed 27 pleats put in, and whereas I would have been like Matt, I would have gone, oh, that's quite a big pattern, so I'll choose that one. But actually, he found it really difficult to put those pleats in because it goes completely against what you would think.
Yeah.
And he didn't get it, did he?
No. I felt so sorry for him.
Yes, I did too. And the only sewing skill that was needed, I think, was that of pattern matching the waistband.
Oh God, yeah.
At the back, it didn't matter, and you couldn't control it. And the waistband on some of them was just a mess.
I think that's where Matt particularly suffered, didn't he? Because he had to pin it because it was too wide.
Yeah, it was.
But he hadn't put his pleats in right, so it was never going to match the pattern anyway.
And so Matt, go on, Anya.
I was going to say, and that was the one thing that pulled up the difference between Nicole and Claire was the waistband.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Nicole's wasn't good, was it?
No. Like
So
I loved her material. I thought that was really quite fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Who's Nicole's?
Nicole's.
Yeah, so Nicole's was white and black, wasn't it? And then Matt had more of what you would class maybe as traditional with that red sort of look.
Yeah.
But I loved Claire's though the most because I thought it was lovely and vibrant and colourful and
it was.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I like the yellow.
The editing during that round, it started to edit it like Nicole was going to be really, really rubbish. Did you not find that? And then suddenly she was all right.
I thought they got Matt down as the one who couldn't do it.
All right.
Yeah. Because they had Nicole. They showed Nicole helping him and helping to try and figure it out and things like that. So.
He must have been so frustrated once he realised that he was completely out of his depth. He must have been so frustrated, poor lad.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things we've said before. It's the whole time issue. Again, if you were doing it at home, you'd walk away and have a cup of tea and come back. And you can't do that.
Yeah. And I wondered, did that knock him on for the second event? Because he kind of looked at the second challenge because he was kind of a bit more like, oh, whatever. I've clearly lost the first one, so I'm not going to even... Not that he didn't try, but, you know, he didn't have his mojo then for the second challenge sort of thing. So,
but that was a bit like yours last year, Janet, with Ricardo. He messed up that waistcoat at the very end and had no time to fix it. And we were gutted watching that because I think he would have been able to. And I think that knocked his confidence when it then came to the rest of the thing. And I think that's what happened with Matt.
Yes. I think it does. It certainly affects you. Because you start to panic inside and then you lose your cool and you lose everything. And especially going into the next challenge, which is the transformation challenge, when it's total free fall. Because he's been quite good at those up to now, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been quite fun. And I expected him to be really good at this. He's like, drag queens, he's got all the colourful fun. But it just
do you know, it was that one thing where I was suddenly like, he'll be all right with this. And then what he produced, I was then like, are you sure you have never made a drag outfit? Because you should have been like a kid in a candy store there with everything. And I was expecting this huge... I expected the feathers, but he just seemed to have lost his design sense.
Okay, well, as we've moved on to that, let's just go back to the
no, we've moved on.
Let's go back, just to finish off the pattern challenge. Claire was first, Nicole was second, Matt was third. Do you think there was much in it between Claire and Nicole, or was Claire a long way up and then Nicole and Matt down there? Where do you think the gap was between Nicole and Claire?
I think there was a big gap because I couldn't really fault Claire's from what I could see. I mean, maybe if you see it close up and you can start nitpicking, but from what I could see, I think her waistband didn't look brilliantly stitched, but it was a jolly sight better. I think there was a big gap.
Yeah, and even it looked better pressed and just better finished overall. I think out of all of them, it was.
The other thing, which I don't know if it was just me not seeing it, but I didn't think that Nicole had frayed hers either at all or very well. Now, I don't know if it's because it was simply the black and white fabric, but I just didn't seem to, it didn't seem to stand out on hers. And I just wondered if that wasn't quite enough as well.
I think they would have mentioned it if she hadn't.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I don't know if it was just the black and white fabric. It just didn't stand out very well.
I don't recall noticing that, because they did show somebody fraying it, didn't they?
Yeah, Claire had definitely frayed hers.
Yeah, she really went for that.
And just to get the viewers right, and myself, Janet, it is filmed in that sequence. So is it the Saturday you've got the pattern challenge first, then the transformation after lunch, and then you go home, and then the next day is the made to measure? That is done like that, is it?
That's how it's done. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So that we're happy then with that first was clearly Claire. Let's go into the transformation challenge now, which I've got quite a few notes about and a few sort of questions.
Oh, I haven't got any for this one.
Oh, have you not? Oh, right, okay. So 90
I literally wrote down what they were doing. I wrote down wings, embellishment, feathers. That was...
Well, that's what we had. 90 minutes to do create a carnival dress, or carnival outfit, sorry, out of a swimsuit and a prom dress. So what did Patrick ask for, Ting?
Well, exuberant. That's all.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. It was the either this structural wow factor and embellishments. So let's talk about Matt then, because as we just started to, we thought this would be his wow thing, didn't we?
I just. Yeah, I mean, I just felt that he would have been able to, or could. I know there's a lot of pressure. I know it's 90 minutes, and we're not looking for the best sewing ever because you're literally slicing everything up. But what he ended up with, I was just like, what are you doing?
It was just, I looked at it and I felt so disappointed. Even like the tiny little leaves, I was just like, oh, no, come on. Yeah.
It'd be better to put tassels there, wouldn't it, really?
Yeah.
That would have been more fun. But it was just...
I think it was a classic case where they've restricted their creativity by only allowing them those two items. So they couldn't really drape and layer and get stuff. They wanted to use haberdashery, didn't they?
Yeah, but if you look at carnival, you may not have ever been to a carnival, but everybody has seen pictures of carnivals from around the world. You would have gone, I'm just going to stick everything on the boobs and put something on the briefs and...
Well, that was the other thing with Matt, is he'd chosen a swimsuit. And like Nicole went with a bikini, and I was just like, surely there was more than one bikini, because that would have lent itself to having all the feathers coming up the back and a headdress and everything. And he went for that blue all-in-one, and then didn't do anything with it apart from the two leaves.
No, and then he... Go on.
I don't quite remember from when they were doing it. We had access most of the time to the haberdashery as well as the other garments that we had.
Yeah.
So had all of Nicole's embellishments come from her evening dress? I think they can't have done. I think some of them must have come from the haberdashery.
Yeah, they had to, because they were individually cut, so there's no way she had time to cut all of them.
No, that's what I thought. So from that point of view, I thought, I don't know where Matt's head was, because there was so much stuff in that haberdashery just to embellish things.
Well, and Claire has taken that kind of pinky, purpley dress and created those wings, and he had that like lemon yellowy one, which was, again, it went from the bust and had the fitted bust, and then went out with all that flowing material, and all that flowing material disappeared. He cut the bust off and sewed it on back to front. What happened to all that other yellow material?
No, he could have even done strips or something with it, even down the bottom, and he would. I thought he would have done better to keep the bust at the top, and then just cut off the bottom of the swimsuit as briefs or something, and done that instead. But
and he obviously stuck the bodice on upside down very, very last minute in a desperate attempt to have something there.
Yeah, it was very strange.
It comes back to last week's round, though, doesn't it? With the idea that we would all glue gun stuff on. You're asking them to do a quick challenge in 90 minutes and raid the haberdashery. it's hard to put haberdashery stuff on and so on in that time.
Yeah.
So it kind of caused an issue, didn't it? Don't you think?
I think so. Yes, I think so. But glue was available. I remember gluing stuff on when we did that punk transformation. I used glue, so there was glue there.
Oh, interesting.
Because I don't remember seeing it at all, especially when they were doing the stuff before. When there was another one where we were like, why aren't they being allowed? The one with all the junk. Why aren't they being able to use the glue?
Oh, I glued stuff on. I know I did.
So my other question
down here.
let's move on to Nicole. My main issue with Nicole was they were asked to use a swimsuit and a prom dress. I couldn't see her prom dress anywhere. Where was it?
On the hips of the bottom, there was a piece of coral. I think it was a coral colour. And that's the only bit that she'd used.
Tiny though, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes,
yeah, but as much as I would hate to say it, it worked.
Yeah.
It didn't need to have anything else flowing down there. It did work. You can't dispute that she isn't the queen of embellishment. She knows where to put a jewel and a thing to make it work.
And hers was definitely amazing. I thought that was so well done, given the time she had. That was impressive. My God.
It was spotty dog. It was, yeah.
But as you said right at the beginning, you said right at the beginning, Janet, it was tailored for her, wasn't it, this challenge?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, she even said it herself. She wouldn't have been able to go home if she hadn't done well in that one. So.
It reminded me when Matt was having trouble sewing the feathers on. In ours, I think it was quite early on, Leah made a child's ballet dress costume with feathers on, and she broke a gazillion needles doing that because the stem things of the feathers, the quill bits, they're really solid and they're terribly difficult to sew. And you have to hand wheel. You have to hand wheel over them. You can't sew through them.
Well, if you remember my lovely outfit that had the palm trees on, that had the feathers on, and we hand sewed all of those on because we couldn't get it through them.
In 90 minutes, you can't.
Yeah.
No. But Claire did manage to get some sticking out the side of her bottoms. I was well impressed that she managed to get those in at the last minute.
I thought her wings were great. I thought they were very clever, but the rest of it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
She spent so much time on the wings. And they were obviously, I think they did say at the beginning, we want something structurally wow, didn't they? So that was her thing that she'd spent the time on, clearly, and then perhaps didn't have much time. I think she just put a tassel on the front, didn't she? I
think she even said herself, she realised at the last minute that it was like, I forgot to do something with the top.
Even the fringing that she'd used, the embellishment that she'd got dangling from the bottom of the bust bit, was not strong enough. It wasn't knockout. It wasn't in. No. Nicole's was in your face and knockout and poke your eyes out. But theirs was too timid, but the wings were okay. But
so when you were watching that round, were you all, Nicole's got this one? Did you all feel, she's got this one in the bag? Or were you still thinking, ooh, Claire could get this as well?
No,
I think they'd edited it very well. Because you got no clear picture of who was doing well or badly, and everyone seemed to be struggling with it. And then when it was kind of the big reveal, you did then think, oh, hang on a minute, Nicole's done quite a good job here. And Claire has done a little bit here. And then, Matt, what have you done? But you didn't get that until the end. It was almost like with the judges, you got to see the final bit of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they did. Well, it was kind of obvious that Matt was struggling the most. I think this was quite like, oh, bless him, what is going wrong? But I think as you said, the rest were. But once you've seen Nicole start to figure out that she could cut out around it and she could do that.
Yeah, you knew she was.
It was interesting also that she did that little neck piece right at the end, didn't she? Because she said at one point, it needs something else at the top, and she was right. And then she just did that little strip and stuck the jewellery bits on. Which idea? She must have taken that idea from her dress that she was going to make the following day, because that had the same detail on.
Yeah. Good point. Yes. What did you think of Joe during this round? Because he absolutely came to life. I was wetting myself with laughter all the way through.
Yeah, same.
It was a spectacular suit, wasn't it?
He was a good pick. I mean, I loved Claudia, and she was just as good with the individual sewers and supporting them and basically going, I know nothing, so I can't really help you.
Yeah.
And he's had that, but the comedy element, I mean, the whole thing with I'm Patrick and I like to sew, you know, those little sketches in between, it was just hilarious.
Well, it was when he turned up in shot with the feathers and the hat, and he went to Claire, and Claire just carried on talking.
She was too focused on what she was doing. She didn't even clock it. Then I got to say when she went to, was it Nicole, and he gave a lollipop out of his hat.
But it was only when he went to Matt there was some banter there. But that made it actually even more funny with Claire's response being, you know, just over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was the first time I sort of really belly laughed at Joe there. I thought I thought he did great in that one. Now I've heard on the grapevine he's only signed up for 2 seasons, so that's it for him now.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm sure they'll sign him up again.
You think?
Hopefully.
He's pretty busy doing other things, so he might not do it. I have no insight on that at all. He's on our WhatsApp group, but I haven't heard anything. So,
well, you need to send him a message.
So,
exclusive.
So on the final end of round 2, we now have Nicole first, Claire second, Matt last. So there we are. Great makeup for a final, really. You've got Claire and Nicole, 1 each, and Matt low down in sort of 3rd place. So we now know that Matt's obviously got to do something incredible to stand a chance, or it's between Claire and Nicole. How do we all feel about that?
Well, that was kind of, I think we all kind of felt that, but we also kind of felt that he did do something incredible, but with what had happened the day before, it would have been a big ask for them to completely forget that and go, you've won.
Yeah, the other 2 would have had to completely fail, you know, in order for him to have won, basically. But he did definitely pull all of the stops out. His final dress was glorious. It
was literally a showstopper, I thought.
Mm.
So before it went into that final, who were you wanting to win at this point, Anya? Who were you going, right, one more round left? Who was going to get it?
Well, I thought Claire, at this point, I think we'd all decided that Claire was very much lead at this point.
Yeah. I think, like I said, deep down, I'd always wanted Matt to perhaps win. And after what had just happened, even though at that point we didn't know what he was going to do, I just felt that whatever he did wasn't going to be good enough because of what had just happened. And so then I resigned myself to Claire. But I would have been happy with either of those winning. So,
yeah.
Janet,
I'm the same. I thought Matt he'd lost it by then. He'd done too badly in the 2 previous rounds that whatever he did in the next one wasn't going to save him. But I was hopeful for Nicole, because I admire Claire's sewing ability, but her style is not my cup of tea, and she's made too many things that I haven't really liked or been impressed with.
A lot of what Claire done is very conventional. There's been nothing. She's a really good sewer, but she never did anything outstanding with it.
Yes.
Well, definitely, yes. And I was, as it turned out, I was disappointed with Nicole's final dress. It didn't quite get there for me.
Yeah.
So I think Claire was the right winner at the end of the day. Although, I mean, the overall effect of her dress, I'm sorry, we've moved on now, haven't we?
That's right.
The overall effect of her dress was great. It was a lovely shape. Yeah. But that pose in here and the bust, I couldn't. That somebody's won a competition like that with a glaring fault just there where everybody can see it. I couldn't. I found that very difficult.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to that then. The made to measure round, they were told to make an evening gown, weren't they?
Red carpet gown.
And did it have a specific? It was about the cutout element, wasn't it? They were really focusing on.
Yeah.
which I presume was the bit that you're talking about, Janet. So let's go to Claire. Was the red satin? Is that was the
well, her cutout was this
yes, tiny,
very tiny, but it was a cutout nonetheless. But no, it wasn't there. The cutout was fine, but below the cutout, let me just go down. There was a seam here that went there, and it joined. It went across at an angle there, and here where it went round the corner, there was a gather. It was fine at this side, but at this, I'm not sure if the side's right, but leading up to it, there was what I always refer to as a poke.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't look at my bust anymore.
Did Patrick glaze over that in the discussion at the end?
Esme picked up on it. She said, if you're doing something simple, it has to be made perfectly, and she did draw attention to it. I thought it's a major fault for a final garment.
Yeah, and so she went for this, which is right for Claire, wasn't it? This sort of 1930s style.
The back was fantastic. It was a lovely shape.
Yeah.
She'd chosen the right fabric.
I was kind of expecting more though, because whenever she said she was going to go with the golden era of, film or MGM sort of style thing, I was like, oh, there are so many glamorous dresses and so many fabulous styles. And then that came out, and it was a beautiful dress, but there wasn't a big wow, it was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was whenever we were going around each of them, the sketches they do at the start, and what they're all doing, Matt's was the only one I went, wow, I want to see that. It was the one I was really excited about. And Claire's was lovely. It was beautiful. It was very chic, very elegant. But, when you see red carpets nowadays, there are so many fantastic things you could do.
Yeah. Do you think, Anya, if the colour was different, would it have been more flamboyant, like a darker colour? Not so, because it was quite bright red, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe if it was like more embellished fabric or something, but it just didn't.
No, I'm sorry, I'm wading in now. It was the right fabric for that dress, but it just wasn't an interesting dress. I mean, it was a lovely back, but if there'd been a huge cutout on the back, which was a little bit more modern in style, if the cutout had been there, that might have added a bit more to it. It was a lovely dress, but final worthy, stunning, makes me want to run out and do it. Not really.
This is where I'm getting confused, and Janet, you might be able to help with this. They were, for the first time ever, they were allowed to cut their pattern pieces out at home, weren't they? So they've obviously done that for a reason, because they want them to make an even bigger garment, I presume, to save time.
Yes, time. Yes, they won't have done it at home because they'll have done it actually there on the premises.
Oh, right.
They'll have been given an hour, maybe. We did that for our coats. We were allowed to cut our coat pieces out, and we were each allocated a time slot to go, because we had a green room at the back where we could go and relax, and they'd put some big cutting tables there. So they will have been given each the same time to do it, so an hour, say, for cutting out, so that it's still an even playing field. And they'll have cut it out the night before for reasons of time. Big pieces are difficult. The cutting tables were actually quite small. I think they were 4 foot by 2.5, 3 feet, maybe. They weren't huge.
Oh, blimey!
Out big evening dress pieces, it's difficult on a small table. So
because in previous series, people have used the floor to cut things out, haven't they? And
it's really difficult. Can you imagine Claire cutting out that very difficult fabric on the floor? I mean, I can't cut stuff out on the floor.
And I think her top, didn't she say she had 16 panels in there? So I suppose that's to save time. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move on.
Well, I was going to say, I presume you're going to talk about Nicole, because that's where I kind of got what she was trying to achieve, and then it was like, okay, so you've been allowed to cut this out in advance, and assuming that you've been able to practice this, because you always know what that is going to be, so you can choose it, and yet she still had no idea how she was going to attach that skirt on when it came down to it at the end. And there was, the little bits and pieces with it as it went along. And I got frustrated with that.
I don't know how much she would actually have practiced, because she'd got that very particular fabric for the skirt. And if you're going to go and practice it, you want to find out all the difficulties. You need to be practicing with a similar material.
Yeah.
But the budget, you get a budget for your practice garment and a budget for your final garment. But the budget for the practice garment would be maybe £30, whereas the budget for the final garment might be £200. Say, I don't know.
Right. Okay.
Like that. So she wouldn't have been able to buy the same fabric to actually practice with. So and I think the difficulties she had with fastening that fabric on were specific to that particular fabric that she had.
Mm.
So she may not have actually got as far as practicing that bit.
I thought as well, the one thing that tickled me was Patrick very much let her get away with the fact that it wasn't all attached.
Yes.
And she said, oh, that was on purpose, that was a choice. Only a few, it's some way earlier in the season. Do you remember the young fella? And he was like, oh, I did that on purpose. And they're like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was up on it.
I'm fuming at Patrick saying that. That's where my slipper nearly went under the telly. It was like, Patrick, you clearly like her. You wanted to win saying that.
I don't know whether she did intend to do that or not. It may well have been intentional. It didn't look, it didn't come over as if it was.
It seemed like she didn't have enough time. She didn't have enough time, did she?
No.
I think it was a case if she did it, went, oh, that looks fine, and then just continued with the
But that was interesting to see, because Esme, when she went up to it, she said, oh, you haven't finished this. And then Patrick then came in with, well, I think it will add it to its flowing nature.
Yeah.
It's like, shut up, Patrick. It's not finished.
That's when we were then ready on our WhatsApp. Oh my God, Nicole's going to get it. Nicole's going to get it. That's when it went really close.
But Nicole got in quite a stew, didn't she, towards the end, when she realised she wasn't going to finish. And I know exactly how she feels, because it's a horrible feeling. It's really awful.
And then, of course, making the slit the last minute, cutting it up.
But she managed to like zigzaggy slit all the way down, so I was impressed with that. Well done.
Let's move on to Matt, because that fabric was, no matter what, that black and gold fabric that he managed to source was fabulous. It looked stunning, didn't it?
Well, and the leatherette as well, or leather, or whatever it was. But
and that was another one. That was very hard to work with fabric.
Yeah.
But he managed to pull it off impeccably. That was the first time I've seen his self-drafted, and he pulled it off just beautifully. I was like, yay, that's what he can actually do. That's amazing. And he did so well. Do
you think he'd used that leather before? Was he experienced with that, hence why he chose it?
I suspect he has. I mean, that he does sort of the drag queen stuff and the SM stuff.
You wouldn't want to be your first try on national telly with leather.
And those big grommets with the lacing in, and the whole thing, and his piping was just beautifully sewn. I'm sure he's used it before.
Trying to bind that thing, I thought, this is where if it's going to go wrong, this is where it's going to go wrong. And then when it was finished and it was just flat along that edge, you were just like, this is a phenomenal bit of sewing there.
I wonder, did it? I don't know if he had a special foot, because you could ask for, if you needed any special equipment, you could request it. So I suspect he must have requested a special foot for sewing faux leather, because an ordinary sewing foot wouldn't do it very well.
No.
And it wasn't obvious when he was sewing it what he was using, but it was just knockout. It was, and Miss Martini looked fantastic in it. I mean, I would love to see. I mean, I'd love to try something like that myself.
I think that's something.
I just love to have a figure like that.
That's something that we have to say. We're on national telly here, aren't we? On the BBC, and we have, a drag queen, two gay blokes. You can't get any more sort of celebratory and diverse than that. That's good to see, isn't it?
Yes, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. And there were lots of wee funny moments in this episode. For example, I laughed whenever with the kilt and he got his buttons wrong. Both male buttons.
The male on male.
So I was like, that was just set the tone for the whole show. It was really, really funny.
You say, was that a comment, didn't it? Was that
Now, Tig, you're a drag queen fan, aren't you, for drag, RuPaul's Drag Race? Did you not want Miss, because I just assumed Miss Martini would have had a wonderful, huge headdress, or is there...
But it wasn't part of the dress, was it? And at the end of the day, it was the dress on the red carpet that was the important thing there. And if he'd have cut, I mean, the pictures they'd shown in the past, it doesn't look like he had a lot of wigs and everything. It was very much a naturalistic style. So I think that probably is how Miss Martini goes out.
Yeah.
And I think it would have completely detracted from that dress if he'd have come out with a huge wig, and it would have made it something that it wasn't.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have been as stunning or as impactful, I think. And
again, when we talk about stereotypes and challenging them, actually, did it it stopped reinforcing that drag stereotype? So was it nice to see a different type of, like a drag sort of effect?
Yeah.
I think it was
fabulous as well. So there was glamour with it, and it was fab.
It reminded me very much of, do you remember that there was a red carpet thing a couple of years ago, and I think it was Christian Siriano did it, and it was a guy in a tuxedo that had a big skirt on it.
Oh
yes, it was Billy Porter, I think, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, and that was Christian Siriano who did that from Project Runway. He won Project Runway a few years ago, and it reminded me very much of that. It was just fantastic. The guy looked super, and his makeup. I love fancy makeup, but his makeup was terrific.
Yeah, it was fabulous. If it had been just based on the garment at the the final garment, Matt would have run away with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, and I think he'll do really well for being a finalist, but from having produced something like that will do a lot of favours where he's going forward from here.
Well, that was the other thing as well, wasn't it? Because what I love about this, and obviously the Bake Off, because it's the same company, is when they do the little bit at the end on where they are now.
Oh yeah.
And he was making theatre, or he started making these theatre costumes and like that. And I just felt for all of them, because obviously this was filmed pre-pandemic. You just think, they've all been sat at home, actually. But the fact that some of them had made such changes in their lives already, that was brilliant as well.
Yeah.
So I know they don't actually say, first, second, or third for this round. So just tell me who was your favourite then for this round. Anya?
Oh, Matt was for this particular round. Matt.
Ting?
Yeah, Matt.
Janet?
Yeah.
Right, so
what about you, Stuart? Who was your favourite?
Yeah, who was yours? You never answer your own questions.
I was torn between Matt and Nicole, actually. There was something so sleek and just glamorous about Nicole. I did like that sort of tangerine colour. I like Matt's, but I wanted a bit more meringue. I wanted it huge and bouffon-y. So like the picture and the sketch, I kind of felt just a tiny little bit let down, because I was like, I wanted it to come out like the sketch, and it didn't. I'm split between them. But then I love orange. That colour was just beautiful, and
it was lovely on her model's skin, wasn't it? The contrast was fantastic. The dress, I felt, just left me a little bit wanting a bit more. I think.
Yeah, it could have been, because again, that was when I looked at the sketch for Nicole's, and I thought it would have a bit more swish for it, or a bit more.
Yes.
And it didn't quite.
No.
It did really pop against the skin. Oh, it was fabulous. But yeah, I expected.
I thought the sketch on hers, the feathers were going to be looser.
Yeah.
And then when we saw that material hanging there with the gold slash through it, and I then suddenly thought, actually, this is quite tightly sewn down, and I think that didn't help with the movement of it.
Yeah, that's it. It needed a bit more
sway.
Yeah, a bit more swish.
Okay, so we're at the end of the show now, and we know they've got to choose a winner. We were on the edge of our seats with our WhatsApp. How were you feeling at this point, Janet? Were you like, they're going to go for Claire. They're going to go for Claire. What did you think?
No, I didn't think they were going to go for Matt. Much as his dress would knock the rest into the side. I thought they were going to go for Nicole. Okay. I really did think they were going to go for Nicole. Interestingly, I've been following Facebook, a group on Facebook, and somebody on there was talking about rationalizing the scoring. And they were saying, if you give 3, 2, 1 points for position as you go along through the 3 challenges, you end up with a number at the end. And so that would have given Claire a 3 and Nicole a 2 for the first, and the other way around for the second challenge. And then in the third challenge, which we never actually know, but it's a way of rationalizing the score. And I can't remember how it worked out, but but it didn't work out. I think I got Nicole winning on that basis.
I thought the same. I thought they were gonna I think they were just gonna, but especially after how Patrick said, about, oh no, I think this is trying to justify it. I thought, they're gonna give it to Nicole, even though I wanted Claire. I thought they were gonna give it to Nicole.
I think Esme won on that discussion.
I think at the end of the day, there is no doubt that Claire was hands down the better sewer. I think. But I don't think she scored in other departments.
No. So when they said the winner is, when Joe announced it and said Claire, did you have a nice, yes? Or were you like, yes?
It was more of an, yes.
Yeah, that was like that.
Yeah. I think we were all the same. We were like, see that one coming.
But you're right. She was consistently strong. All throughout. Nicole was like a roller coaster. She would be battling with something and then do really well, and then it would be battling with something and not well. So it was here, wasn't it? But was she enjoyable to watch? Was she took risks?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I haven't. I haven't.
Did you find her annoying?
I said, I'm sure the sewing bee does it to me every year. And it was like in your series, I mean, I didn't know any of you, but I just didn't like Jen and what she did. And she made it all the way to the final, which just made it hilarious last year, because every week I was going, she's going, she never did. And it was a bit like that with Nicole, is she kind of annoyed me in the first couple of episodes with, she seemed very slapdash and not wanting to do what the judges were asking. And I'm like, this is a competition. And so she just annoyed me in those first couple of episodes. And so then that part of me was like, let's hope she goes every single week. And of course she made it all the way to the final.
What about you, Janet?
I think Nicole reflected quite a lot of us in her rather slapdash attempts at
I was like, we do that as well.
But I like, go on.
I do. I try stuff and it doesn't work. I try to sew a little bit more carefully, but I can tell you, sewing under the pressure, the time pressure it just changes the way that you do everything, and you make the most stupid mistakes, as I have proved time and time again.
It's like what Nicole did. She on that last round, she sewed the lining back to the front, did you? Yeah.
But they do test all particularly only not the made to the pattern challenges. They have a team. They give it to students. I think they sort out the pattern, then they give it to students to sew them and see how long it actually takes, and that's how they decide how long they're going to give you for doing it. So it can be done in that time, but only if you're a very fast sewer.
I think what I liked about, what I really admire about Nicole was the fact that she always said, I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to try something. And I think in turn, that would have been an editor's dream for the show, because there was always going to be something exciting. And maybe we didn't have that with Claire within her sewing, but then we got that with her personality coming through, didn't we?
Yeah. And that came through more and more towards the end, didn't it? She came out of herself.
Yes.
I think a few more weeks with Claire, we would have got to see more creativity out of her. I think she was just a slow burn. Yeah. And I reckon a few more weeks, and we would have got to see something really fun. It felt like she was only getting to the point where she was opening up a bit.
It came from the 51% of the company. That's when it started from, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. I think she sort of took a wee risk there, and she was like, "Oh, this is quite fun." And then, you know.
Now, I just want to say, because I know some of the sewers are now starting to find our little vlogs. We've always said from the beginning, and even in our YouTube blurb, if you look on the description, it's our opinions, and we're trying to talk in the nicest way about people. And I know Nicole has perhaps been on the raw end of our discussions, but it's always
I admit that it's me.
But we've said it's always been about how they've been edited, and we know it's nothing against the person, and it's because obviously they're edited in a way. Sometimes you've got no control over that, have you, Janet? How you're shown.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I thought my experiences was that they were pretty kind in their editing. They always said right from the beginning they didn't want to make us look fools.
No.
And I thought that they were kind to us. And I think the problems that have arisen have been from the public who've said unkind things.
Yes.
Not thinking that the people themselves can actually read these comments. And Nicole actually, after the semi-finals, put a thing on Instagram, sort of almost apologising for having got to the final, which I thought was a shame, because she shouldn't have to be apologising for something that wasn't her responsibility.
No, and also this year, I mean, we mentioned it earlier on that there was never that outstanding, like in previous years, there's been one or two people who just seem to be able to produce fabulous every time, and there was no one really like that. Like that this year. Everyone just seemed to be ticking over quite nicely, but not in an outstanding way. And I think sometimes if you look at how well Nicole can do some things, certainly with the embellishments as well, then I will readily admit that in places when we've been doing this, is you can't knock her sewing in places. And then I often feel let down by her when was it last week when she was just like, "Oh, I'm just going to bodge my way through this." It's like, don't make it worse by saying that you're not really taking it seriously, and you have to keep that balance between it as well.
And we get so passionate.
It's like we always budge. I was like, I'm sure when we sew budge. I'm sure I've told before, don't worry about pinning, just go for it. It's like, okay.
That's him who doesn't pin.
You know what it's like when we watch TV programs, we get so into it, and I know that's the problem with social media. People do forget. And they post that message, but I'd like to think, as we've always been talking, that they know that we're talking about the show and what's going on. So that said,
feel free to throw slippers at Tink. It's fine.
That said,
I will point out that when Janet got kicked out last year, I did have my "I'm not watching the rest of this" moment.
Thank you.
Because you do have your favourites. It was just everything you were doing last year. You could see it was also relatable. I felt that I could sit down and do what you were doing, and other people were doing stuff, and you just thought I couldn't even touch that. And
you want to come and finish my coat? It's in the wardrobe. We're waiting to finish.
Brilliant.
One day there'll be a post on Instagram where you finish it. To be so proud of yourself.
Yeah.
This winter, I promise.
And it's been lovely. It's been lovely seeing everyone's comments, and I think a lot of people have been really commenting nice, or certainly been on our videos. They've been aware of what they're commenting and still keeping it about the program and remembering there is a person behind that. So that said, summing up, let's look back across the whole season now, and let's see it'd be lovely to hear is there a favourite garment made from the season? And if you need a couple, I'll let you have a couple, but no more than two, please.
I have 4.
Oh, God. So let's start at I've got Anya at the top here, and then Ting, and then Janet. So Anya, let's go for your favourite one. Have you got a favourite one?
Well, I have a few favourite. Well,
how many?
Matt's dress obviously wins everything, because I know it's a finale dress, but it was the most gobsmacking thing to see when it was done. But like for fun things, I really enjoyed Claire's transformation. That will always just tickle me with the pipe and everything.
Yes.
That just tickles me for some reason. It's like
from movie week.
Yeah, the transformation, that just tickled me no end. But I also quite liked for me, most wearable things. Well, I quite enjoyed. I'm cheating, but Matt's jumper dress and Claire's jumper dress. I like those for sort of wearable things that I would wear. Yeah, I quite enjoyed those. There's loads, to be honest. I could go through each week and pick out something nice, but you know, I'll only go with those for now. I'm sure there's going to be others. I'll be like, oh yes, and that one. But yeah.
Steve, what about you? If you got 4, go on then.
Well, I'm not counting Matt's finale dress because I didn't think you'd let us choose anything from the finale.
Oh,
because again,
I just said one favourite garment.
That was stunning in itself. But I then went back to have a look through, and then suddenly a theme started to appear, which would probably explain why I was hoping Matt was going to win. Because when I went back and kind of listed it, I had his jumper dress down. I just thought that was stunning. When it was on the model and she walked, the way that flows was brilliant. And then I was like, I actually really loved his orange power jacket, the way it just skimmed that dummy and everything. And then I also had the very first tea dress. He won the very first challenge with his collar and everything, and the fabric was that mustardy yellow.
Navy,
and the only other person who got a shoe-in was Ali's holiday shirt, that when they had to do the men's shirt, and she had the pale blue with the patterned panels and that in. But then I was like, well, hang on, it's Matt. So that would explain why I was kind of hoping, and I was pleased he got to the final.
That says it about him, that I know he wasn't consistent, but when he did do something, he did it brilliantly, didn't he?
Yeah.
Jan?
I'm going to just stick in, I love Nicole's flamenco dress as well.
Oh yeah, you do.
Yeah, sorry, carry on.
Janet, what about you? Have you got 20 or have you just got 1?
Oh, I've got a couple. I really liked Ali's tennis dress.
Yes, the leopard.
Yeah, with the ball pockets at the back. Yeah, I thought that was really good. I liked Matt's jumper dress. I liked Matt's end of the finale dress. But there were lots of nice things. It was hard to do, but Ali's tennis dress.
Claire had that lovely little girl's dress she made out of the tablecloth as well. That was phenomenal.
Fabulous. Yes, that was really well done.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. We could go through each episode and pick out one from each.
Oh, no, I've got, would you believe, it was easy for me. There was just one, and that was Matt's winter dress, the jumper dress out of the recycled knits. There was something about it that just pushed it way, way, way above anything else in that season. I just thought it was just stunning because the knits, how it moved, and it was tight fitting at the top. If I was going to have a second one, it would be Nicole's last one. You know, the blue and the white dynasty dress.
Oh, right.
I thought it was just glamour.
Yeah,
loved it.
You're clearly a dynasty fan right there.
Oh. Well, when you look back on it, that's 10 weeks we've been chatting. Where's the time gone? Yeah.
I'm
lockdown, that's where it went. I mean, without lockdown, I don't think we would have as many viewers.
Excuse me, we're fabulous.
Has done well. It has been great. It is a great season, and the comments that we've got from you all are getting more and more detailed, aren't they? Ting, you've been busy replying.
I need to employ a secretary just to stay on top of the comments. So a big shout out to whoever's doing the drinking game based on our podcast.
Yes.
I don't think I said anyone managed to turn it around, so probably not as drunk as they have been.
There's one. Everybody have a very large shot. So
that's the whole bottle there.
It will be interesting to see if anyone is, still awake at this point, or whether they've been drinking too much. There we go. Reading your comments in the descriptions below has been wonderful over 10 weeks, and people have got more and more friendly and are writing more and more, and it's been lovely joining in with that, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Has your community still continued, Janet, since last year? Have you still got that chatty nature?
Yes. It goes quiet for a period and then it springs into life again. But yes, it's still going. And we still have meetups. We haven't because of now, but we will do when it kicks off again. And hopefully when we go and have some more meetups, when we go to London particularly, we might be able to involve some of the other bees. There was the possibility that we were invited to go to Birmingham to Guthrie and Garney, because Lauren Guthrie has she's got a shop in Birmingham.
She has, yes, I follow her.
And she was having some Norwegian ladies coming over. I think they were Norwegian. And she was going, the plan was that she would invite as many ex-bees, or you're never an ex-bee, are you? As many bees as you want to go. And we were going to have a giant meetup, and that would have been wonderful. And that would be nice to do. But it would be nice when we go down to London if we can get some of the other ones from other seasons in, because I know I know some of the guys and girls who live in London are in touch with some of the others. Not so much for those of us who are a bit more far flung, but
I know there was I don't know if you saw the comments. I don't know if it was on last week or the other week's video, but they've been put out a bit of a plea because they've locked down all the previous series of Sewing Bee, and they were kind of saying, in this lockdown and everything, why can't we just watch it right from the start again, from series 1? And so please, if you're listening, Love Productions, please put the repeats on.
Yes, I don't know who's in charge of that. Maybe it's the BBC. I don't know.
Might be. Well, it would be good, wouldn't it, to watch them all again? And obviously there will be another season next year. Don't know who will be presented by or what, but they have done the. I've noticed on the website the request for auditions.
They've closed. They've
closed now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So they'll be on with choosing now. Yeah.
So have you put yours in, Ting?
You're the one who should be putting it in.
No, God.
You're the one that's got the time, not me.
I'm a beginner, so I'm not even like. I'm not even up to Alex's level. I mean, Alex is way better than me. But hopefully we'll be back next year doing it all over again, which will be great, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It will be 2021 before you can blink, and we'll be here.
Well, it will indeed. It will indeed.
But you never know. We might do something in the meantime. We might find another program to talk about, because people love talking about it, and it is. We've seen that people like just talking about crafting programs. There aren't enough crafting stuff on TV, is there?
No.
Through this lockdown, my daughter and I have been binge watching in the afternoons, and we've gone through the Next in Fashion. I can't remember what they call the last 2 Project Runways.
Yeah.
What's the other one? I can't remember what the other one was. There were 3, so we've been watching them all, and it's lovely. I've really enjoyed it.
Was that the one thing you talking about that we should do? The Next in Fashion?
Yeah. I also watched. I don't know if you saw this one on Netflix, Janet. Is the Great Flower Fight or the Great Flower Show or whatever, and that was floristry but on a massive scale. They had to sculpt with it. It's brilliant. If you watch that one. That's a competition. They were partners, and someone got eliminated every week, and they had to make huge structures based on fairy tales or insects and everything. And one week was dried flowers, one was cut flowers, one was plants. They were brilliant. Anyone else looking for something to watch? I think it's about 8 to 10 episodes. So there's another one there.
Oh, that's great. No, I haven't seen that. I've heard of it. No,
it's hosted by Vic Reeves, bizarrely, as well. So.
And Anya, you're wearing something you've made. Tell us about this lovely top.
Oh, it's just a basic T-shirt that I made. I thought this is the last show. I should wear something I've actually made.
Did you make your shirt?
Me? I haven't made a shirt, no. I'll leave that to Stuart.
I made a little kid shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
my daughter said this afternoon it looks like some weird nurse's outfit, but daughters tell the truth. It was a wearable muslin for another dress, but I wear it more than the final thing. So.
You just reminded me, talk about muslin fabric. I'm ordering some fabric from Katia Fabrics, and it all seems to be the rage in Europe at the moment. I don't know what it's like getting it in here. They call it mousseline. I think we call it seersucker. Is that right? It's like a muslin crepey fabric. It looks something like you would put over a jam lid, you know, when you're making jam.
Does that sound like something you want to wear?
That type of fabric. I didn't know what that would be like working with, because it looks very lightweight. What was
I've recently made a shirt dress with some fabric that I got from Fabworks, which is up here. And I lined it with muslin, a cotton muslin, which when it came off the roll, it felt nice and crisp, very fine, but nice and crisp. When I pre-washed it, it was exactly what you would use for sieving cheese.
Oh, I think that's the fabric. I think that is the fabric I was looking at. Yeah,
but
it sounds like a good investment.
it was quite inexpensive, but it was lovely to sew, and it's made a lovely lining for this dress, for this shirt dress. It worked very well. So use anything. But
and on yours is jersey, is it, or is that nice light cotton jersey?
No, it's just a lightweight jersey. So Jen actually gave me this fabric.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's been a pleasure. I think we'll end it there, because it's been another hour.
Yeah, you're the one that keeps going on.
It will just be a short little show, you know, we've done in 20 minutes, won't be too long. But that's the way it's been all season. It's been wonderful going on this journey with you all. Been lovely chatting over this time and coming together, certainly for us being at home. It's been therapy for ourselves, just chatting. It's lovely having you with us, Janet, as well, with your input. And it's going to be lovely seeing what everyone's going to write about this last episode.
can I just say thank you very much for inviting me. I have really enjoyed it.
Oh,
anytime.
Very welcome.
Yay, we'll hold you to that.
Yeah.
We will hold you to that.
Thank you very much.
Well, so we'll all say our byes and see you all very soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.